I can't move on to the next thing in my life in that moment. I need to do some processing. I'll start Googling the person or the subject, or I'll just sit and think for a while. So I hadn't seen this film until just now with all of you, but I'm really grateful that we had a chance. Hopefully this is a little bit edifying to some of you too, to just kind of make sense of it and to fill out the picture a little bit. I don't know much about Alex Honnold. I love this theater. I love the outdoors. I grew up in rural New Hampshire. But fortunately, we have someone here who does know quite a bit about him. Jess just wrote an article in September in one of the flagship rock climbing publications. She's a freelance writer, works with a lot of really ethical companies in the outdoor space and the natural food space. And because probably no one else in this room knows Alex, but what he did was absolutely insane, and you kind of want to get into his head a little bit or understand a little bit of why he did that. We're really lucky that Jess is here. So we're going to have just a little conversation. If there are some questions folks want to ask, those are welcome too. We won't take too much time. Happy to chat more out in the lobby after this. But Jess, why don't you introduce yourself real quick and tell us why you wanted to track this guy down and how you eventually did and sat down with him. And then just give us a little portrait of the guy. We saw him up close on the big screen, but what was it like to sit across, look at his eyes, across the table from him and ask him questions. And then we'll get into a little bit of what he's actually doing with the Honnold Foundation.
Yeah, so I have been over the last 2 years working on a book called Tools for Environmental Giving, and it's a book about how businesses and individuals are working with nonprofits to save land, water, and wildlife. And so as I do the research, I started writing articles about the same topic to try to find my writing style, practice interviews, whatnot. And my friends, I've been working in the outdoor industry for a long time, and I go to the Outdoor Retailers Trade Show where all the climbers, all the athletes, all the brands, all the retailers spend their time. And so I was there in July, and a friend came up to me and was like, "Hey, do you want to interview Alex? I think he has a foundation, and maybe your company or organization can fund him." And I was like, "Well, that's not how it really works, but I'll talk to him if he's interested." And I didn't really know anything. I don't really get excited about climbers. I know a lot of them, and they're kind of stinky. And I
live in bands.
Live in bands. So I was like, he was 10 minutes late for his interview, so I almost left. And I was like, I'm not going to just wait around for someone if they're not going to show up. And my buddy's like, well, if Alex comes to talk to you, you wait for him. Like, people are waiting. There's a line of 30 people waiting to shake his hands. Like, you should wait. So he showed up, and there was a crowd of people following him. We shook hands, and
just what were his hands like?
He has very large hands. But they're calloused, and very large hands. But it's more of his presence. He's like very aware of what's going on around him. He's very kind to people, and so we ended up going and finding a place to sit and talk about his foundation, the Honnold Foundation. And he asked me, he's like, "Do you mind if I sit and stretch on the ground while we talk?" So he sat down into the pigeon's pose and found this deep stretch, and I was like, "Oh, I guess I'll sit on the ground with you." So I interviewed him for an hour, and we talked about his foundation and his love for solar energy. And my goal was to understand why his foundation was set up to give to solar power projects rather than to climbing projects. There was an expectation that he would be funding the next generation of climbers, and that's what he should fund, but really his true interest is in solar power projects in the United States and abroad.
So we got a little glimpse of that in the film. He does a lot of travel. We saw his team installing some small modules in a part of Africa. I don't know where exactly. In Ethiopia. So give a little bit of his why. He's earned this fame. He's done this absolutely insane feat. He's developed some capital, financial and social otherwise. How do you explain what kind of why he's putting it into that?
Yeah, so he explained it as he's been traveling the world for the last 15 years as a pro climber or so, and the North Face and his brand sponsors would send him on these trips to go to very remote areas and climb things that had never been climbed before. And on those trips, he would see people in villages who had very little, and he was surprised that his life had been privileged in a way where he was able to do what he loved to do and find a profession for it. And so as he was traveling, he was also, I don't know if you could tell from the way he speaks, but he's an incredible intellectual. It's like when you talk to him, his eyes move back and forth like really, really quickly, as if he's like digging through catalogs in his brain for information. He takes in so much information. And so on these trips, he would read, and he read Drawdown and Cradle to Cradle and all these books about environmentalism, solar power, and reducing your impact on the earth, and books about veganism, and he lives a very light lifestyle. So I think solar became this way to give back to decarbonizing the environment and protecting the places he loved to climb, while giving back in a way that reduced the impacts humanity has on the environment, while still giving people the opportunity to have the opportunities that he has had by being able to read at night, being able to cook inside without using natural gases. Just solar has so many positive benefits, and it seemed like that was the cause that really he was connected to.
Thanks. Can I ask, does anybody out there feel a little bit inadequate right now? You know, like we've got our passions, our hobbies. You know, maybe it's guitar, maybe it's climbing, what have you. I've just been kind of reflecting a little bit, and then let's open it up if folks do have any questions that they want to ask.
We do bet you're a bit antsy. We get that was a long film. And
yeah, no, feel free to move on to the afternoon too, that's fine. But, you know, what's the proper response to a film like this? It's sort of a rhetorical question, but I'll throw it out to you, Jess, and anybody else who cares to respond. You know, maybe this is just like a real life version of some superhero sequence that you might see in Marvel Comics, and wow, that was entertaining. Oh my gosh, it actually happened. We don't think that was, doctored in any way. But like that pursuit of excellence, I don't know if that struck you. I was really taken by that. You gotta be excellent when the failure to be means your death. That's like a pretty powerful imperative to be excellent and to put in the requisite training. And that's something I'm going to live with. I don't have an answer right now, but if you have any, Jess, please do. But what's kind of a response that is appropriate on our part to that incredible portrait of excellence?
Well, I think that's like a really interesting question. The death and the risk comes up a lot when people talk to Alex, and he mentions that often. But I think more so than just death and risk, it's about accomplishment, like complete focus on a goal that is so loud in yourself that you have to accomplish it. And that's when I was talking to him, like that's what's so noticeable is he has this like internal compass that's just like, he does not do anything he does not want to do, which means he leaves a lot out of his life that would distract him from what he does want to do. It's just like, all that's left is the essentials, like the essentials of the van, the relationship without all the extra stuff, like the goal without the extra concern for what other people are thinking. He's someone who's a very like essentialist thinker who knows exactly what it is that he's looking for. And I think we all have that in us if we're willing to like kind of put on almost blinders towards a goal. And so I think death and risk seem to be like the ultimate awful consequence if you think about worst case scenario, but he doesn't think about the worst case scenario. He doesn't like even allow it into his psyche.
No extra dishes.
Yeah.
He eats off the spatula.
One way to focus the mind, I think your point about getting rid of all those, the fluff, the distractions, the dead weight that we probably all of us have in our lives. I certainly have plenty.
You want to open up to questions? Does anyone have any questions about the film or about Alex, or anyone hear any weird stories about him? No. Yeah.
I was just thinking that his personal motto could also be live free or die.
That's
There
good.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
He belongs here in New Hampshire. Let's bring him out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any comments or thoughts about the film? Yes.
I have a question. The way that the film...
I can hear her.
We can hear
Sorry.
Kyle.
Oh, so my take when I was watching him, he came across as more self-centered than you're describing him, and I had almost forgotten the part about the foundation, and I'm really glad that you brought it up because it makes him more of a well-rounded person, and because he didn't seem very empathetic, especially with his relationship with his girlfriend, And so I'm wondering, when you talked to him and got to know him a little bit, do you think that the film was fair in the way that they depicted his just
I think we missed a lot of the nuances of like who he is as a person. I remember when I was speaking to him, I remember just like I just felt inadequate in the way that like he has so much going on in his brain, and he listens to every single word you say, and he responds to every single thing you say. Like he's very interested in ideas and people and things. And so I don't know, the thing about their relationship, I kind of get it. Like she was a distraction. Like he was an athlete with a goal, and like she wanted to be a wife and a mother, and that they're just contradictory. I don't know how you do both. And so I think like in this film, which was about his achievement, the relationship part, it was part of the story. It was a storyline, but I think he's very capable of empathy and like love and all the other emotions. I don't know, I didn't get the sense that he was like a psychopath or some sort of missing something. It was just, this film is really about his achievement and high focus. So
Although he is missing that amygdala.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, one thought is just, you met him after that feat, and I doubt that's his last feat, but we haven't yet discovered another El Cap. Like, that is the capstone of his chosen career, and maybe there is a kind of piece. I mean, I was struck by that quote where he's like, some people, want to enjoy life. The point of life is to be happy and cozy. For him, it's performance. But maybe that achievement of that, aim that he had been, it's like he'd been circling El Cap for 10 or 15 years, wanting to do it, and finally did. Any last comments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I was, I don't need a microphone, I have a booming voice. I guess I'm surprised that they gave the relationship as much attention as they did, because to me that wasn't his priority, and I felt like they were almost giving her too much of the time of the film for somebody who wasn't really, I don't know, I didn't get the vibe that she was super understanding or supportive, and gave him the focus that he needed in order to succeed. I almost felt like she was a detriment at that time in his life.
I think she was there just to offer like that emotional honesty. Like, how does someone who loves him continue to love him, knowing that there's this like sense of possibility of death, but then that's a larger question, like it's imminent for all of us, and you still love someone knowing it's like could potentially happen. But I think what I've heard of critiques of friends that know her, like that's not how she is either. Like I think they have a different relationship. I think some of it is cinematography. Yes.
I guess I see it as a necessary literary device in
Yeah.
some way.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I think the crux of the film and part of being a free soloist is, if you're so, again, you can call them self-centered or you can call them perfectionist. It's the paradox, right? So how do you want to see this? As, one who chases perfection, then we should idolize that and see that, or do we see it as somewhat self-destructive? That, so you did this, great, but are you increasing? So, he does have a foundation which is certainly trying to increase certain joys for others in the world, but certainly it shows the paradox in his own personal life, though it may be minimalist, right? The things he cuts out of his life.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of other sides of the coin where we're talking about trying to increase the things the love we share, right? So so I see it as the girlfriend was a great literary device to really get you to think about, well, do you want to create a minimalist impact where you are so narrowly focused on a perfection, or do you try and increase the amount of people that you are friends with in your life, the communities that you create? And you know what? When you create a lot of friends and communities, it creates a lot of obligations, right? So he, and I thought the part where, at the end, where he said, well, I guess that's it, maybe. And her phrase was, "You're done." And his phrase was, "Well, me," So I think there's just different ways of looking at it. And I'm not necessarily taking sides on either, but I thought it was a great way to get us as an audience to consider sort of the price of that warrior mindset.
Yeah.
But the warrior can be an awfully lonely place to be. When is the warrior putting down the sword and taking up the home? So I thought
That's a good
it was
point.
great, interesting piece.
Yeah, and I will say, like, that was, now that the feat is done, he's getting a lot of attention to be a speaker. He goes to conferences, he's going to corporate events where they bring him in and pay him a bunch of money, and he puts that money from all of the attention he's getting for the success of this feat in this film into the foundation, the majority of it. And he had said on the phone, on the interview, he was like, I just feel so grateful that I can make this money and then put it right into these solar projects that end up giving people, like he's like, for $200 in certain situations, people have energy for 4 years. Or I don't know what the calculation is, but he was amazed at how, like, putting the funds from the attention that he's getting into these projects can begin to create long-lasting impact. So I think he's moved on from, like, the feat. I mean, he'll keep climbing. Climbing is always going to continue to be a big part of his life, but the foundation is a legacy. It's like, beyond climbing, there's a legacy now that he has that is beyond climbing. It's in solar energy, and he can use his spotlight and shine it onto solar energy issues and projects. So, and just to talk a little bit about that, there's 4 organizations that he funds. One is called Grid Alternatives, and I had said to him, going into the interview, I wanted to be like, if you weren't climbing, what would you be doing? And he said, I would be running Grid Alternatives. And it's an organization in the US that does solar installations for low-income communities on Native American reservations and in California. And it provides solar energy to people who typically wouldn't be able to afford it. And that's one. And then, what is it? Solar Aid is another in Ethiopia, the organization he works with, that gives solar-powered handheld lights to communities with no electricity. And that just has such a big impact on people's lives. So, like, if you're delivering a baby at night, you have a light. Typically that's done in the dark if there's no energy. There's these really difficult things that people have to deal with like, you know about this. And so those are the things that he seems to care about and want to focus on for the future. And so we talked a lot about that.
And maybe just to wrap up on my side in terms of something I would hope to convey, and my passion happens to be clean energy, and you know, you mentioned a book that has influenced him, which has certainly influenced me, Project Drawdown. There's a whole initiative around it, but you know, if you'll indulge me for just a moment, in the hour and a half that we sat through this film, just based on the latest science of the effects of this warming of our planet, a little over 60,000 people became climate refugees. They were forced to leave their home every hour of every day because of rising seas and storms and droughts, etc. Also in an hour, about 15,000 people die prematurely from climate change. It's mostly breathing in the fine particulate matter when we burn coal and oil and gas in power plants and in our own cars, which we probably all did to get here. Also in an hour, an estimated 150 species become, sorry, this is in a day, forgive me, I can do that hour math, but in a day today, about 150 species become permanently extinct. Scientists are calling this the 6th great extinction. And so places